Thank you, everybody, for tuning in once again to my mini show, which is called About My Father's Business Thursdays, where I like to highlight Christian businesses about their services, their books, their coaching, and anything else they're doing for God. Because as I always say, we need all the help that we can get. And not only that, I really like to share the stories behind. So if you know my main show, which is Outside the Box, I like to help people see that God is bigger than their boxes. So you can kind of see that when it comes to Christian business owners, because they usually have a magnificent, inspiring, insightful story behind what they do. And so it just gives you a deeper look into, what it means or what it's like and where it comes from. The motivation for Christians to have their own business. And so for my guest today, I have Coach Nehemie. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm so terrible with names. And
It's
so I have Coach Nehemie, and she has an amazing story about how she came to do what she does. And what she does is that she is a life purpose coach. She is the author of the book called Triumph: How to Become the Best Version of Yourself. And she's going to tell us how she got all into that. But before we get into that, Nehemie, can you please introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what you do?
Hello, everyone. Like Coach says, I am Nehemie. I am an author, a speaker, and a life purpose coach. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me tonight.
No, no problem, no problem. And so you said you do life coaching, you have a book, but we all start somewhere. And so, and I a lot of times in my podcast when I get to talking to business owners, Christians business owners about what they do, the passion behind it, the story behind it, there's always something very deep there. But you have a very amazing story about where you were, how you got into being a life purpose coach, and it came from you not feeling like you had any purpose. And so it really brings to mind to me how we have to claim our victory. So before we get into that, please tell your story and how you got into what you do.
Well, how I got into what I'm doing right now. Well, let's talk about the birth of the book. It was inspired by God, and I think, well, not that I think, but I know that God has a purpose for my life, and it's proven because I'm still here. Because I remember at the age of 23, it was my 23rd birthday, and I came from an outing. And as I was entering my door at home, there was a gun pointed to my head by a robber. And at that point, I was like, okay, God, I guess this is it. Take me. I'm ready to go.
Wow, wow.
Yes. But it's not what happened because obviously I'm here.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
God had bigger and better things for me, and purpose was not fulfilled as yet, and so I couldn't go. But I woke up the following morning and I was so upset. I was upset with God. I was upset with myself.
Wow.
I was like, that was the perfect time to go. I was like, God,
Look, a one way ticket to
why?
heaven. Like I had a first class ticket to heaven. What's going on?
Because in my mind, I'm going to heaven.
Yeah.
But God had other plans because
Yeah.
I was so upset and I was like, God, why didn't you take me? Why didn't you take me? And then a few days after that, or probably that following day or two, he said, you are going to write a book and the title is Triumphant. And so I was like, me? Write a book? No, that was never my thing. I don't know what you're talking about. And
Mm-hmm.
he gave it to me again. And I was like, okay. And I didn't realize until 5 years later of giving birth to the book that God had a purpose for why he didn't take me. I know I remember struggling with life. I was suffering with depression, suicidal thoughts, and I just wanted to be gone. Honestly, I felt like life would be better, and I talk about that in my book. Life would be better if I was dead. Like,
Wow.
I never desired death so much, but
Wow. Wow.
and so yeah, that's how the book came about, and he inspired me what to write in the book, and that's That's where
Yeah.
it came from. And
Yeah.
also, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, and in 2020, when the pandemic happened, and he placed in my spirit that I should do confidence and life purpose coaching. And I was like, I didn't even know what a coach was, to be honest. And I was like, what's this thing? So I went and I Googled it. And little did I know there's a such thing as life coach. Because I know
Yeah.
about psychologists and all those other terms, but I
Yeah.
didn't know
Yeah.
anything about a life coach, to be honest. And I was like, you really want me to do this? But here I am. This is what God has called me to do, and I'm just trying to be obedient.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing that of course I always say this that stands out to me in your story, because of course a lot of the stories that we hear comes from people's pain birthing their purpose. But one thing that you're saying, which I think a lot of people miss, honestly, is that it took time for you to get there. So God told you about the book, but it still took, like you said, 5 years to actually bring it to fruition. And so a lot of the times God will give us this vision of where he wants us to end up, or a vision of what he wants us to do, but we still have to go through the process and steps of actually getting there, and it sometimes take a very long time. So sometimes I'd like to think about Noah. Now, he was in a day and age where they didn't have hammers and electronic screwdrivers and all that type of stuff. And he built a massive, massive boat to take two of every animal that existed on the earth. I'm sure that took years. I'm sure it probably took 20, 30. I mean, I can't even guess, but I know it probably took a very, very long time. But God gave him the image of the boat in advance. And so it was like it took years to build it, the patience, and I'm sure the things that he learned along the journey of building it and the things he had to, do to, running into problems and solve problems probably added to his character and his relationship with God in ways that he wouldn't have had. And so I like that you said I was in this place, God gave me this vision, but it still took a very long time to bring it to pass. And a lot of times we don't want to wait. We want stuff fast. We want, like, hey, you told me this a year ago. Why is nothing happening? People get frustrated. I come across a lot of business owners, Christian business owners, that are sometimes frustrated with how things are progressing, what they're doing. And so I just wanted to take the opportunity in your story to say that we have to take our time. We have to take our time, trust God through the process, and let him bring us to where he wants to get us to, because the journey is much more important than the destination.
Yes. Because there's so much you learn in the journey, and it's so much he wants us to learn too in the journey. We get to know him better. We get, because of the journey, you get to commune more with him. Because, what's the point of him just doing it suddenly? I know some miracles, has to be done suddenly, but when you go through the process, when you go through the journey, you are so much more appreciative when you get on the winning side.
Exactly.
I talk about that in my book too, because a lot of time we feel like we're battling and we're going through things and we wonder why and when it's going to be over. But if we think like, I've already won, I'm just going through the process, then it will be so much better. We'll not enjoy the process like, hey, I'm happy I'm going through this, but we'll be more grateful. We'll be asking more of, what do you want me to learn in this process? What is it that you want me to learn as I go through the fire? What is it you are doing in me? How are you molding me? How are you making me into a better person because of this? And also, we go through things. Yeah, we go through it, but it's to help others also. We go through things because somewhere along the line, someone is going to cross our path, and we'll be able to empathize with them and give them some encouragement because we've been where they were. And so I look at situations like that, like, you are triumphant, like I said in my book. Just live life from the winning side. That's all it's all about. And just trust the process. Know that once God is with you, you already win.
Yeah.
So
And that's kind of what I wanted to get into, because the title of the show that we're doing is about claiming your victory. And you have some very, very interesting things to say, because it was almost like you came from a place of not really thinking that you had a purpose, and then God used this to show you that you did have a purpose, but that it was up to you to claim the victory that he had for you. And it all starts with your mindset. So can you go and talk about that a little bit?
Yes, it's all about your mindset. It's all about knowing who you are. It's about your identity, because it all starts in the mind. If you don't know who you are, then honestly, you won't make it. Honestly, you have to know who you are. And when I say you have to know who you are, which I talk about in my book too, it's not what the world says you are, but it's what God says you are. You have to see your eyes through the eyes of Christ. You have to know what the Bible says about you, because that's our manual for life. We can't go through life without it. And everything we need to know about ourselves, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it's in that book. And if you want to know who you truly are, who God says you are, just dig into that book.
Yeah.
Or you can just Google it, because we're living in a time of technology. What does the Bible say about me? Who I am in Christ. You know, he says we are more than conquerors. He says we are fearfully and wonderfully made. You know, all these good things. We are victorious. But if we don't know these things, if we don't implant these things in our mind to help us with our mindset, then we will go through life defeated. We will go through life feeling like, what's the point? You have to know who you are. It all starts with your mindset. And if you don't know who you are, then you're basically done. So mind what the world is saying. And we like to do this comparison trap thing, you know? Comparing ourselves. Don't compare yourself with others. Your mindset has to be, how does God see me? However he sees you, that's who you are. It doesn't matter how the person to your right look, how the person to your left look. Because honestly, people they tend to mask themselves and something to, you know, compare yourself to, oh, I want to be like this one, or I wish I was like that one, I wish I had that talent, or I wish I was so confident like this person or that person. But no, you don't know what they're battling with inside, truthfully. So just focus on you. I'm not saying to make it about you, but focus on being a better you. Focus on, you know, who God says you are. That's what you want to do. Your identity. Once you know who you are, once you've discovered your identity, then life will be so much more easier.
Yeah. And so even what I was thinking about when you were saying, when we compare ourselves to other people, we do that almost instinctually because we don't know who we are. So we're like trying to figure out, okay, who am I? And only thing you have to compare it to, if you don't have God, is other people. And so you say, okay, am I attractive like her? Am I nice like her? Let me be like him, you know. And so it's a natural thing to do, to compare yourself to other people when you don't have God, the person, the being that actually created you, your personality, knows everything about you. You're going to naturally do that. So like you're saying, it's very important to go back to the source instead of looking at what is around you. That's not the source. You know, they're not the source. So you go back to the source of who created you, who molded you, who knows your purpose, who knows, you know, everything about you. And you learn who you are from him, not from other people. So, and that's the thing basically that it boils down to. What you're saying is like unlocking your mind, because the mind is, like you said, the key to everything. And so, for example, when you were in that depressive state where you wanted to just be done, you're going to see the world from a more grayer, duller, nothing's going to be exciting to you. It's like, because you don't want to be here. So if you don't want to be here, your mind is going to be filtered through that perspective.
Right.
But when you unlock your mind, like you're saying about understanding who you are, understanding the value that you have to God, and you start seeing the possibilities and understanding that you are already victorious, even in the thing, your perspective widens. Like, oh my goodness, like it just really widens. So even when stuff happens, you're like, it's okay because I already know the end story. You know?
Right, yes.
Yeah, and it empowers you, and empowers your thinking, it expands your mind. Now things that you probably wouldn't even consider become possibilities to you. Things that you didn't even pay attention to Now it's like, okay, you're more focused because you already know you got this. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the mind is very, very powerful. And I always say, and I have said it in my past shows, that our minds and our ability to choose is a God-like quality. There is nothing else on the earth that God created that has the ability to choose and reason and is self-aware like we are. It is one of those things that when God said he made man in his image, that's one of the images of God that we have a mind. And it's a very, very powerful thing. So yeah, so now from this the book idea, which you said it took you 5 years to complete, you then ended up going into coaching. So you have a coaching business that you're going to start here at the end of the month. Can you talk a little bit about how your coaching is going to be connected to the book?
Yes, it's going to be connected to the book in terms of the contents that are in the book. Like, for instance, I have the real ID. We're going to start off with discovering who you are, because if you don't know who you are, then you can't live a purposeful life. It's like a light bulb.
Yeah.
The light, yes, as Christians, God has called us to shine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like the light bulb, the purpose of the light bulb is to shine. And so, if we don't connect
the power, yeah,
right, it won't shine. And so, in my coaching business, I talk to you about how to grow a relationship with God, and dig deeper. And once you dig deeper into your relationship with Him, you're going to start to discover who you are. And as you discover who you are, then we go into values. What do you value? If you don't know what you value, it all boils down to, because you don't know who you are. So if you know who you are, then you know what you value in life. And once you know what you value in life, I guarantee you will discover your purpose. We'll talk about your gifts, your talents, and all these things. It is not your purpose. Your gift is not your purpose. Your talent is not your purpose. Your abilities are not your purpose. They are all intertwined. They come together to fulfill your purpose, And it's like the light bulb. It's the one thing that it does is shine. I don't care how small or teeny bitty of the light it is. Wherever it is, you are going to see it. And same thing with our purpose. And the light bulb, it shines every day. Once you turn that on, it's going to shine every day. And that is what our purpose does. We have to show up living our purpose every day. So what is that one thing that you can do? Well, for me, it's cultivating. And it looks different. Different stages of your life would require different things. And that is why I say, what is that one word? If you see yourself, how can you show up every day using one word? And so we dig into that in my coaching business, and that is how I help you to discover your life purpose. And once you know what your life purpose is, you make better decisions. You make better career choices. You don't go into certain careers because of the money or certain people doing it, but you are more focused and you are more directed into how is this career going to help me serve my purpose. You understand?
Yeah.
And so, yes, that is what I do in my coaching business. We talk about identity crisis. We talk about your identity, your values, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. That's good, because living a life of purpose is always going to be more fulfilling than living a life with no purpose. And again, it goes back to our Creator, because He created us to have purpose. And so when you don't have purpose, and then you feel the effects of not having purpose, that's because you were designed to have purpose. And so you're kind of missing something. And something that I was thinking about what you were saying about knowing who you are. So this image came to my mind about a fork and a spoon. So if you're designed to be a fork, but you don't know what a fork does, you don't know the value of a fork, you don't know anything about, like, I guess the purpose of a fork, and you go through your life like trying to be a spoon or a spatula, and you're lost. But when you figure out exactly your function, because you're going to be good at it because it's your function, and
Right.
you do it well, you feel more fulfilled. You
Yeah,
feel
you
more,
feel alive. You
yeah,
want to wake up every day and do this thing. You want to show up like that
yeah,
every day. Yeah.
exactly.
You can
Yeah.
imagine a fork. We trying to eat some soup with a fork.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like it's not working because that's not what you're supposed to be doing. So yeah, so but I'm curious because it sounds like, especially from the time that you started writing, like you said, it took 5 years for you to finish everything. Was it that God was also teaching you these things for yourself during the process?
Yes, yes, most definitely. Yes. And I was like, wow. And like I say, it caused me to appreciate the journey more because I've learned so much on the journey, and I was like, okay, I understand why it had to take this long because God, and I'm still learning.
Yes,
I'm still learning,
absolutely.
but
Yeah,
oh my gosh, it was worth it. I won't lie. It was worth
yeah.
it. I learned a lot. God was first for me. It
Yeah,
was first for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with God, because I've been through some very difficult things too, and got frustrated with different prayers I want to answer. And it's like, hey, what's taking so long? Or why is this so hard? But number one, I've never got to the other side and it wasn't worth it. Like, it's so worth it that everything you went through kind of shrinks in comparison.
Yeah.
And I equate it to like having a baby, because pregnancy is difficult, labor is horrendous, but once you have that baby, you don't even think about that stuff anymore. Until you get pregnant again, and then you're like, what am I doing again? So, but it just fades away, all the struggles and everything you went through. And that's how it is when God is leading you and guiding you. It's difficult, it's struggle. Sometimes it gets really, really painful, that labor part. But once you make it to the other side, it's like, oh my goodness, this was so, so, so worth it.
Worth
Yeah.
it. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was thinking about your book. So can you let people know where they can find your book, and and where you are on social media and stuff like that?
Sure. They can find my book on Amazon. It's on Amazon. Triumphant: How to Become a Better Version of Yourself. Or you could just type in my name, Nehemie, and it will show up. And I am on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
My name again, Nehemie Saintange. And I also have a YouTube channel that's called You Matter with Nehemie.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, that's where you can find me. And I'll be more than happy to connect with anybody, be an encouragement to you. You could reach out to me, and I'm here for you. I'm here to serve you. So
Yeah, and like you go back to what you said about God using what we go through, not just for you, but for you to help other people. And it's just, again, goes back to, and I've said this before, um, what was meant for bad is turned around for your good. And it's not even just turned around for your good, because you just finding purpose would be enough. It's like, yeah, I was down, I found purpose, but he even multiplies that. He even multiplies that to like, no, now it's not about just you. You need to go reach other people. Yeah, to find other people that's feeling the same way you were feeling. And so God is really, really amazing.
yeah.
And he's so concerned about even something as simple as Nehemie feeling like she doesn't have purpose. And he's like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Let me show you. Let me show you. Because he could be like, well, if you don't think you have purpose, like, that's not my problem. But he wants you to know that you do have purpose, that you matter. He wants you to know who you are. And I think it really kind of boils down to, a lot of the times, how important you are to him. Because once you start seeing him being so willing to help you out of these tight spots, especially mentally, that he doesn't have to, you understand, like, wow, he really cares about me. Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, we were created to be loved. So yeah. So did you have anything else you wanted to add or anything like that before we wrap up?
I just want to encourage everyone, start off with discovering who you really are. That is key point. That is so important. Like, stop the comparison trap, Really focus on who you are. Really find out what God has to say about you. Because once you start off on that track, life is gonna be easier. I don't know like what anyone is going through, but I just know that identity crisis is not a joke. You
No,
know,
it's not.
it affects you mentally, spiritually, socially, every aspect of your life. It
Mm,
affects you. But once you know who you are, you show up different, you talk different, you act different. You are just different, you know?
mm,
And
mm,
we were called to be different, to stand
mm.
out and not be like the world. So I just want to encourage you to take some time to find out who you are in Christ. See yourself the way God sees you. That's all
Mm.
I want to say.
Yeah. And I think that's a really important message that I just want to tag onto what you said here before we wrap up, because I've been hearing about a lot of suicides, like especially with young people during this pandemic, college students, people who are just really on the, starting their lives, their journey as an adult, and they just find it so difficult, so troubling. I mean, there was even a very successful a news anchor lady, I believe, I can't think of her name right now, but she committed suicide, and people were really shocked because she seemed very successful and stuff on the outside. And so I really think a lot of it boils down to exactly what you're saying: not understanding who you are, not understanding your purpose, not getting plugged into that light that you were meant to be,
Yeah,
because you're going to live life from a very empty place when you
yeah,
don't do that.
yeah,
And it can easily lead down the path, especially in today's time, where people committing suicide, and it's just really really sad. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I know a lot of people are struggling with depression, suicidal thoughts, especially on the cusp of this pandemic. And so, reach out to Nehemie, even if it's not Nehemie and you want to kind of understand more of your purpose. Reach out to somebody, because God can use a lot of people around you, people you might not even pay attention to help you figure out who you are and what He has for you to do if you look for it. You just
yeah.
have to look for it.
Have
Yeah.
to, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
have to.
All right. So thank you so much, Nehemie. I really enjoyed this conversation. I look forward to, talking to you again and see how your coaching business goes. You guys make sure you look up on social media and get her book off of Amazon. The links for everything will be above this post. Other than that, make sure you tune in on Saturdays for my About Outside the Box live show on Saturdays at 12 p.m. CST, and then my Testimony Tuesday show on Tuesdays at 12 p.m. And then, of course, this show About My Father's Business Thursdays at 5 p.m. If you need some encouragement, if you need some insight for your business, if you need help just seeing God outside of your own box. So thank you once again. You guys have a great day and be blessed. Bye.
Bye.